she holding it down. No matter how you feel, she gon' greet you with a smile.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Don't so.
Where you at? Where you at?
Don't so.
Where you at? Where you at?
Don't so.
What?
Don't so.
What?
You're so.
Where you at? Where you at?
Hello, Knicks family. Welcome to another edition of Thursday's Just Knickin' It on Dope Soul Sports Talk, a member of the NBK family of Knicks content providers. And today, I mean, we, as usual, we have a whole lot of things to talk about, right? So we haven't been on for a couple of weeks. I want to say probably about 3 weeks. So that means that's even more stuff we got to cover here in Knicks Nation. So and our off season started immediately after that last buzzer of the last game went off. So that didn't stop Knicks content providers from coming in with from providing content and making stuff and bringing you stuff. But here at Dope Soul, we took a little break, and here we are. We're back, and we have a whole lot of things to talk about. Now the season is officially over, even though it's kind of been over for us since our team hasn't been playing. But basketball is never over. All right, so that's 365 days a year, and the past couple of weeks been no difference, right? So I'm going to bring in everybody else who's going to be on the panel tonight. I got Geoff, J Boogie, and Queen. Queen is here, audio only, because of she is doing the show remotely, or she's participating in the show remotely, and her internet signal is not top notch. So how are you guys doing? Geoff, Queen, how are we doing? J Boogie haven't been here in a minute.
I'm so glad to be back. I've missed y'all like crazy, man. We need to figure out a way where the Knicks just play all year long.
Oh, they playing now. They just like all year round school. They just tracked out right now.
And
yeah,
I mean,
super excited to be here. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you, Queen.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, super excited to be back. Like Ajay said, we've been off for a few weeks.
Yeah.
And just decided I'm gonna give up the reins today and let the visual people carry the show.
Yeah.
And I'll give my input where I can.
Yeah. Yep.
Shout out.
And
let me just say, David L. Byer.
Queen, we lost you there, Queen, but don't stop trying. But anyway, shout out to the chat, David Albaya, Jet Life for Life, JJ. What's up, JJ, man? JJ, shout out JJ, always rocking with us, man.
JJ.
Walter White and everybody else coming on. Born Freedom, Humble Down. Humble Down was the first one to post, beat me to the punch. I want to be the first one to post, but Humble Down just got it popping. But anyway, there is a lot of things to talk about, and we're probably not gonna get to cover everything, especially not the some of those trade proposals that some of the crazy media. Oh my God, they got some of these trades they coming up with, man. It's like painful just to read. So we're not gonna get to touch up on them and point out how crazy those people are. But listen, the Boston, shout out to the Boston Celtics. Congratulations to them. They won the chip number 18 for them. Good for them. We and I'm sure most of us were basketball fans, so we watched the finals. Even if you didn't really watch it, but you had it as background noise. I know I did. I wasn't like zoned in on those games, but you still had it on the TV there, and you knew what was going on, and you knew the crazy calls, the crazy plays, and so on and so forth. It was nevertheless entertaining. I enjoyed it. I don't know about you guys, how J Bug. I don't know if you watched the finals Geoff, I know you watch it just to torture yourself and watch the Celtics win another championship.
Yeah. Not my favorite moment. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Boston, they've been the best team in the league all season. They did have a not so complicated path to the finals, but nevertheless, you can't take anything away from them because they've really been the best team all season.
Right.
A lot of people ask, kind of disappointed that the finals were only 5 games. Listen, if you watch basketball, basketball, you understand the game, you enjoy the game, you understand fully why it only took 5 games because Dallas wasn't the best team in the West. Not that they didn't belong there. Listen, they got there. That's how the cookie crumbled, but they were not the best team in the West. They were not going to put a lot of resistance to Boston Celtics. What do you guys feel about that? Dallas was 5th seed in the West for a reason. All right, there were 4 other teams, not just with better records, but at least 3 of those other teams were genuinely better than the Dallas Mavericks. So, and Boston, they got there, go ahead, Queen.
No.
Go ahead, Queen.
Good finish.
No, I was gonna say, and in the East, the best teams, the better teams that could have put some sort of resistance, they were hurt. Milwaukee, Indiana Pacers made it to the conference final. They were not the second best team in the East. We all know that. So it was a fairly easy path to the finals, but nevertheless, they hang another banner. Congratulations to them. You can't take anything away from them.
But I think the point is when it comes to the playoffs, you may not be the better team, but who's playing the best at that time?
Right.
And with Dallas, PJ Washington, Gafford, in that Western Conference Finals, they showed up big.
Right.
And got them to the finals. And then once they got to the finals, those guys didn't show up big. And, Boston had a lot to do with it.
Right.
And so that same thing with Miami. Strauss and those Strauss, whatever his name is, got hot and carried them right into the finals. So,
yep. Yeah.
Anything is possible. You don't have to be the best team, but if you're playing the best, you have a shot.
Exactly, and you're right, Queen. That's the same thing that happened last year. Miami got hot. They got really hot at the right time, and they made it to the finals. But were they the best team in the East? Nah, not even close.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And speaking of Boston Celtics, we see what they could do. They went all the way to the chip, and do we feel, and I know this is something I've heard all season from us here on the panel, from the Knicks fan, from everybody in the chat, that if fully healthy, the Knicks probably could have beaten the Boston Celtics and made it to the finals. After watching all that, how does everybody feel? Do you feel like we could still do that? Do you still feel like we have what it takes to beat the Boston Celtics if both teams stay the way they are and we're healthy and they're healthy?
Well, Ajay, here's the thing to me, is think about how good we were when OG was healthy. And then if you throw in a healthy Randall on top of that, OG Anunoby does a lot for us defensively. And just if you add in Randall to that, I think Randall gives Boston problems as far as the matchup is concerned. He's a tough cover. They have a lot of great defenders, but he's big and he's strong and he can do a lot of things. Helps, free things up for Jalen. I think that they do have 2 good defenders in the backcourt in White and Holiday, which means they could probably not have to, they can have either one of those guys guard straight up without having to bring a double team against Brunson, which is really a big deal. But with a healthy Anunoby and a healthy DiVincenzo, we get to spread the floor. You get Josh Hart gets to play his role off the bench and we have some bench depth that could hurt the Celtics where they only really go 6 or 7 deep. And I'm not saying we'd sweep them or anything, but I think we'd do better than a gentleman's sweep. I think we at least get 2 games.
Yeah, it'd be a toss-up. Well, and definitely in the Eastern Conference Final, like we wouldn't get swept. Like the Pacers got, I mean, they got swept under the rug. Like that was like a blank. You almost didn't even remember that series happened. But you also got to remember though, Porzingis, KP's always hurt. So if we're fully healthy and they're fully healthy, not we're fully healthy and then they're missing Kristaps Porzingis. Like we're healthy and they're healthy. It's not clear cut that we beat him. I don't think it's a toss up. Like anything can happen. But yeah, you're right. It would probably go to Game 7, and whichever team got the better Game 7 is gonna win it. But yeah, we're definitely right up there with them. I agree. What do you think, J-Bug?
It's a lot of speculations to me. That's a situation that we'll never be able to know or, or be able to see ever. The thing is, them guys, they have an opportunity to sit there and watch them guys. Me being a fan, I'm a love for the New York Knicks, but I'm a fan of the game. So I had a chance to sit there and watch every game. And I hope them guys was watching every game and looking at their team and figuring out to themselves, what can we do differently from what the other team is doing, and how can we go against them guys? Boston is a tough team, and they showed that. They just really eliminated Dallas. And like Queen said, it's not even though they wasn't the best team in the West. It's about who gets hot. And Dallas got hot, but the problem was they got into a collision course with a team that wasn't cooling off. Only thing that would shock me was that they didn't, make history and be the first team to sweep a conference final and the finals at that 8 straight games. Eastern Conference. Nobody's never swept the East or the West and then went and swept the finals except. So I was shocked that didn't happen. But these guys got to look at these guys and know to themselves, this is who we got. This is who we got. This is our target. This is who we got to aim at. This is who we got to. This is who we got to beat. And they have done that in 2 straight years. When we lost to Atlanta, they built a team whereas they was able to next season to destroy Atlanta for games and games and games. And then to lose to Miami, and they was able to destroy kind of like Miami this year, beat them almost in a series of this year. So you got to look at Boston and feel like, we need to have the right mindset and the right team to go play against them guys. Because once you're on the offensive end and you see Holiday and you see White and you see Brown, them 3 guys looking at you from the defensive end, you got to be able to, to play basketball. I thought we might have fell a little short against them because we didn't have just watching them how they played against Dallas. We were short on a lot of ball handling. We got guys that can make plays, but I'm talking about constantly making plays over and over at the right moments. I think we was a little bit off from that, and it has something to do with some of the players that wasn't there. But I think we need some more ball handlers on this team.
Mm-hmm. And don't forget Jason Tatum and Porzingis. You mentioned the defensive players. Listen, Tatum, he's been playing defense. Like, I mean, he hasn't been locking people down, but he's been putting himself out there, making a conscious effort to play better defense. And Kristaps Porzingis, I mean, the guy's 7 foot something, 7'1" or whatever he is. He's out there blocking shot. He's out there making players change their minds. They literally that alley oop and the with all those slams that the Dallas Mavericks were having throughout the Western Conference. They just stopped that madness. They we didn't see any of that in the finals, or maybe once or twice. We saw a couple of alley-oops, but otherwise it was just you had to play ball. You had to body up in the middle and try to get your points, the hard way. And so do you guys feel like, and I see a couple of people in the chat saying, we're not better than Boston. We're not saying we're better than Boston. We're just saying we would have been a little bit more competitive. And, in a 7-game series, you make it to Game 7, anything can happen, So what do you guys feel the Knicks, before what we got to add, right? As you all know, our off season started right after that last buzzer, that final buzzer. We don't wait. In Knicks Nation, you just don't wait. And the Knicks, there's a few things they got to do because there are a couple of players, a couple of free agents, like our own free agents that we have to try to sign before we even look at what's out there on the market.
Right.
So, I mean, we could start talking about those guys, those free agents. So what do you guys do? What do we do with OG Anunoby, with Isaiah Hartenstein and our own free agents, or even Bogdanovich,
Right.
who's kind of sort of free agent. We're gonna know in a few days what the Knicks are gonna do with his contract. So how would you guys approach this offseason? Not even looking at draft picks, just looking at what we have already to hold on to what we have.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yeah, go Queen.
Listen, I'm signing OG, but I would agree he is a risk. It's a risk to sign him to a $35 million and up contract. You're basically rolling the dice, but it's a dice I personally would roll. And listen, this is what the Clippers are rolling the dice. He might be available, he might not, and he wasn't really available in the playoffs. I'm rolling the dice with OG Anunoby, hoping that he'll have a Paul George season. I think Paul George played 74 games this season. I think Anthony Davis has an injury history. I think he played 70 games or something like that this season. That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping for OG. I'm rolling the dice on him. Are we doing it? Are we commenting on everybody or just one at a time? Ajay, how are you going to do it?
We could do one at a time. We go around,
Okay, so with OG, it's a risk. I agree it's a risk, but it's a risk I would take, just having seen how we played in January and seeing what's possible when he's healthy.
Queen, I got kicked off. I'm sorry. How much would you say you'd sign him for?
I don't know how much I would sign him for. He's going for, what I'm hearing is, I think that's a risk, but it's a risk I personally am willing to take. Hoping that he has, I don't know if you heard this part, that he has a Paul George or AD type season in terms of games played, because both of those guys, I believe, played over 70 games this season, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. And so I hear talk. Geoff. So we go Geoff and then J Boogie on OG Anunoby.
Well, so I think you have to look at it this way. I mean, you have to bring him back. You paid too much to bring him here. You can't give up on whatever you think about Barrett and Quickly. You can't send them out for 30 games of OG Anunoby. That doesn't make any sense. You have to pay him. But what I think is, when Boston made the deal for Kristaps Porzingis, here's another guy who's had an injury history. What did he play, like 60 some odd games this year?
Right.
And he even missed some time in the playoffs, but he was there enough to get them a championship. And I think that we have to look at OG Anunoby the same way. Because here's a guy, when he's in the lineup, we play 80% better. We win better than 80% of our games, whether Julius Randle's in the lineup or not. I mean, that's impressive. I mean, and you saw in game 3, when the game he got hurt, we had the lead and he had 26 points in 28 minutes or something like that. So I think, to me, it's an off season that may not be that exciting, but bring everybody back and hope that we can see the product healthy come playoff time. I mean, if you have a chance to do an upgrade, I'm good with that too. I think you should always be looking to upgrade your team, but I think we need Hartenstein back because he's the most reliable available center we have, and then OG is the key to everything we do. When he is in the lineup, it makes all the difference, and to me that I think a lot of times you look at contracts and it used to be said that you'd make $1 million for every point per game you scored. The contracts are out of whack and out of line with that now. But just because he's not an offensive player on of the par of people we're used to seeing get those contracts, I still think that he's worth at 35 a year. And I think you have to put in perspective both of those Boston boys, Brown and Tatum, are getting $300 million contracts where they're up in the $50, $60 million a year stratosphere. Right. So if you're looking at it from that standpoint, 35 for OG doesn't really sound as crazy. I think part of it is because Brunson and Randall haven't been paid yet, I guess. So they would be making less than that. And it is weird to have your third best player making the most money on your team. So from that standpoint, I think it's that makes sense. But again, I kind of think that situation corrects itself and sorts itself out too, because eventually Brunson may extend this summer and get above 35 a year. Randall could extend this summer. I don't know with his injuries and the market how much he's going to command. I don't want to disrespect him. I love Randall, but I don't know if you max Randall. I don't know that, I think you'll pay him a lot of money, probably more than OG, but I don't know if you would be giving him a Tatum and Brown kind of a contract is what I'm saying. What do you think, Jay Booth?
I'm bringing OG back to this roster, point blank. I don't give up too much for him, and it shows what type of team we have when he's on the floor, and it shows what type of team we're not when he's not on the floor. And that plays a big role far as, what I'm looking at far as our squad. I was really looking for OG to be to work on his game and develop areas, that he could come into next year and use, because he's never been above the fourth option in Toronto. Never, so now with us, I thought he was going to become, a third option amongst our team. And he showed a lot of glimpses, especially in the playoffs, how he was strongly taking the ball to the rack, how he's knocking down shots, and then I don't even need to talk and say anything about his defense. But you can't give up two young guys to go get this guy. And sooner or later, it's going to cost us. We gave up no draft picks, and we all shouted that out when we made the trade. We kept our draft picks and all that. Now on this side of the table, you're talking about a few extra $1 million. From 33 to 37, somewhere in that area, I'm fine. But if you're talking about 40 million, that's a different conversation that we really, really got to have, because you're not $5 million, Pascal is not $5 million better than you. He's got 45 million. So you don't need to be on the phone talking with him, comparing what you got, or can you get what he got? No, you're two different type ball players. But if OG wants to be here, he will be here. And I'm shocked, especially with the way the new thing is going on, as far as after the finals game ended, he could sign. I'm really looking for guys to go ahead and sign now. Just like, Pascal, he signed immediately, so we can move on and do other things and let Leon and them figure out this roster and then figure out what it is and who else they want to sign, who they want to trade for, whoever they want to get rid of, whatever they got to do. But OG is the first. This is the first thing that we need to take care and get OG in the building, because you can't afford to let him slip off and go to somebody like Philly. And they don't struck out with Paul. You know what I'm saying? You can't let him go over there with Philly, because he's going to be more dynamic to that team, way more than what Tobias was, and then you're going against us. But I like to see OG here. He got to want to be here. And if he wants to be here, he's going to sign with us, I know the waiting game, wondering, we all got our ear to the streets, wondering this, wondering that. Inside rumors is coming on. People saying this and saying that, don't even know what they're talking about, just making up any type rule, clickbait and chasing, doing whatever they want to do. And conversation is not even surrounding, nowhere near like that. But if OG wants to be here, he's going to be here. But 33 to 37 million, I'm good. But I do know for a fact That guy makes a big difference in New York City than for him not to be in New York City.
And I
think
agree.
the Knicks also. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Queen. Go ahead.
I think the Knicks. We also have to keep in mind the cap is going up as well. So 37, 40 may look like a lot now. In another year or two, it's not going to look. Last thing I'll say, and we'll to this deeper when we get to iHeart. Not signing talking about beating Boston. We can beat Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals. You don't re-sign OG. You don't re-sign iHeart. You better bring in some bona fide players that's better than those two if you're going to keep pace.
Right.
Because these other teams in the Eastern Conference, Orlando's not going to stand pat. These other teams are not going to stand pat. So even standing pat, are we going to be contenders? And you guys talking about taking away OG and iHeart and remaining contenders? Who are you bringing in their stead? So that's just something else to think about.
Queen, that's exactly the point I was gonna make, because we and the the teams, when they look at these things, you got to do whatever you got to do to get better, right? OG Anunoby clearly makes us a better team. I mean, you go up and down the stats, you realize this guy. I mean, we win most of the games. We lose very few games with OG Anunoby in the lineup. He's shooting 60% from that corner three. His defensive prowess is off the charts. I mean, the guy, he is a difference maker. So if when we pay him, his salary is going to be a smaller percentage of the cap when the cap goes up, right? So we have to do. I feel we have to do what we have to do to keep him. My biggest concern, and a lot of people's concern, is his health. But you got to take a chance, right? It's a risk, because you could sign somebody like Josh Hart, who almost never gets hurt, and then boom, something happens beginning of the season, you lose him for the season. You still got to take a chance. Okay, you rely on your medical staff to tell you what to do, to kind of give you direction on which way to go, but you still got to take a chance, because otherwise, if you don't keep OG Anunoby, who you bringing in to do what he was doing? I'm sorry, there's just nobody out there. There's nobody out there available to fill in OG Anunoby's shoes. So we got to do what we got to do to keep him. That's how I feel about it.
There was a trade rumor about it's just a rumor that Miami may get off of Jimmy Butler. This is just speculating, though. Would we be just as good if we replaced Butler? Not saying it's going to happen. It's just speculating.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I don't think so. I mean, the OG Anunoby has a lot of things. We're talking about fit right now, right? I feel OG Anunoby's a better fit for what we're doing. If we keep Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson, we don't need another guy who operates in the middle where Jimmy Butler is, like, because OG Anunoby, he doesn't, like, he stays out of everybody's way unless absolutely necessary. He'll drive to the basket, takes his 3-point. He's a much better 3-point shooter than Jimmy Butler. I feel like he's a bigger, longer defensive player than Jimmy Butler. I don't know their heights, but his reach is more effective than Jimmy Butler. I think he's a better fit than Jimmy Butler, and not to mention he's younger than Jimmy Butler. Yes, he gets injured, but he's injury prone. But you would have him for much longer than Jimmy Butler, and Jimmy Butler wouldn't be coming in cheap either.
And he's been hurt too.
And he's been hurt lately. He's much older.
I don't even want Jimmy on this team. Period. Period. Leon and them shouldn't even be thinking about that dude, because right now Jimmy heads is in the clouds. Jimmy's not going to be the type guy that want to play a new role. He really think he's still the guy. He's on rock and roll status. You see him on all types of commercials everywhere, here and there. And then for you to take a shot at us and tell the people we definitely wouldn't be in if he was here and all that there. Man, I'm not on a Jimmy wagon, none of that. You know, tell Jimmy go fix his teeth for all that money he got.
Yeah, Jimmy no hate me as far as I'm concerned.
Right. But if the Knicks do lose OG, he would who else would you get that would not be a significant drop off? Now I hear what you're saying. If you have to choose but if the Knicks were to lose OG, it would be Butler or Paul George where you feel like, okay, we still got a shot. You know, we lost OG, but we replaced it with a Butler or Paul George. We still got a shot. After that, it's a significant drop off for the Knicks.
He's still under contract, right? He's not a free agent, right? He can't just walk.
No, it would have to be a trade. There's Miami's having some cap issues from what I was reading. They're gonna have to make a decision. I think they keep him though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If it has to be a trade and we lose OG, I can't give up multiple pieces and picks to go get Jimmy. That means I'm losing all the way around, you know, because he's still up under contract. It's different if he's a free agent, then I can just call him in here and maybe sit down and talk to him. But if I lose OG to free agency, then you're talking about giving up. You're definitely talking about giving up Deuce. You're definitely gonna put Bogdanovich's contract in there, and maybe Mitch and some draft picks. You know, that's too much. We tearing our team down for Jimmy. You know,
I agree, man.
Well,
to me, he's not worth it. I'm sorry.
Well, I would say this. If you can get away with a Mitch, McBride, and Bogdanovic, and you still have, like, to me, that ain't a lot. Now, if you telling me you got to put Randall in there, pause. But if a Mitch and a bogey, you know, I'm not saying that's something that the Knicks would do, but that's, to me, that would not be a lot. But anyway, I digress. Ajay, we were talking about OG, and I take it we were going to get into iHeart.
Yeah, definitely, man. Let's just jump right into Isaiah Hartenstein. Next up, and I think we're, you know, and I'm reading the chat as we're discussing. You know, a lot of people in the chat are like, we're not losing OG, and I agree. Like, if we didn't know we were gonna keep OG, we were gonna. That's like 90% chance we get him back. If not, we wouldn't have given up all that we gave up just to get him. But Isaiah Hartenstein, however, is a different story, because Isaiah Hartenstein, we can actually lose him to other team, because he only had a 2-year contract, and right now, you know, he is a free agent.
Right.
So how far would you guys go to keep iHeart? Keep in mind, Mitchell Robinson is very injury prone. You know, and I like to say we have 2 starting centers. We don't have, you know, we could go either way, but one guy is more available than the other guy. So how far would you guys go to keep Isaiah Hartenstein? Queen, I'll start with you.
Oh, well, I'm very high on Hartenstein. But
Go ahead. You're breaking up.
You're breaking up, Queen. All right, J Boog. Queen, you back? Oh, all right, J Boog. How far would you go to keep iHeart?
it depends on if I'm getting rid of Mitch. If Mitch is going, then I'm gonna have to match some of these numbers that they talking 70 mil for 4 years and stuff like that, because he's gonna get his offer. San Antonio's gonna give him an offer, and I wouldn't be shocked if OKC gives him an offer. You know, he's played himself into, you know, he's played himself into being a factor on a basketball team in the regular season or the playoffs. And he plays good fundamentally basketball. He rebounds the ball, he passes the ball. You know, he don't create it himself to have. He's the tallest floater guy in the history of the NBA now. And you know, his shot is he's still missing the shot. But if I'm getting rid of Mitch, at the most I'm talking about $72 million at the most. I'm trying to stay at that 70, but I think we got his bird rights, right? If we got his bird rights.
Boogie, the thing is, we can't offer him. We have his early bird rights, so the most that we can offer him is 4 years, $70 million, starting at about 16. That's the max contract that we can offer him. We can't go above that because of only having his early bird rights. We can't. That's the reason we're in danger of potentially losing him, is because a team like OKC can offer him 2 years, $20 million starting salary, and we can't.
Right.
Because of the rules, we can't go above that 4 years at $70 million, which I think is the offer that's going to be on the table for him. But I don't think that's going to happen right away, because I think if you're Hartenstein, you're at least going to look, right? And say, well, yeah, the Knicks can pay me this, but it would be foolish of him to not at least go to market and see, well, what can Orlando pay me? What is San Antonio willing to pay me? What is Houston willing to pay me? Or whoever, the other 4 teams that are that have cap space. But so you can look at that, and then you can make your decision. But the Knicks are pretty much locked in. They can't offer above the 4 years, 70.
I get that. So you know, what you clarifying that, you know, that's understandable. If you got more money on the table, you know, you got to respect it. I'm never going to be somebody tell somebody not to go get that money when you earned it and you deserve that. You know, it's just that we're in our own situation, basically going off of what you just saying, that we can't go over that threshold. You know, basically, you know, he deserves, if somebody offers him $74 million, you know what I'm saying? You can't be mad and upset at that, you know, and I'm one of the ones, yo, go get your money. You deserve that. But we need to go ahead and fill that role in with somebody else that can, you know, step right immediately in and play basketball. And there's a couple of centers out there that's going to be available that we can do those type things that could fit into something that could fit into our play. But you hate to see your home team, you know, going to different places, especially coming off a great season. And then Hartenstein has to ask himself, you know, if they giving me $72 million and the Knicks can only offer me $70 million, is my role playing with somebody else is going to be just as good as what my role is with the Knicks? Am I going to be just as effective? Am I going to get that same appreciating, that love? You know what I'm saying? So, you know, at another place, that's something he's going to have to figure out. Because $72 million somewhere else and $70 million in New York, I don't think that's going to be enough to move Hartenstein. That's just me personally. He has a relationship here. He's loved by the fan base, you know. I mean, he's a well likable guy, you know, a great locker room guy and a blue-collar hard worker, you know. He deserves to be here, and they'll find something else for him to be doing, you know, far as in the city, far as endorsements or whatever. But I don't think he'll leave for 72 and walk away from what we got going on, especially dealing with the season we just had.
No doubt about it. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes. Come on, Queen. Come on.
We lost you again.
Can you hear me now?
It's in and out.
Go on.
Okay. So, and I'm guys, you know, I'm reading the chat. You know, people in the chat. Shout out to the chat, man, for rocking with us. You know, we haven't been here in like 3 weeks, I think, and you know, I'm glad that you guys are joining in the conversation. You know, shout out to everybody who's keeping the chat, who's keeping the chat going, who's making it hot. But don't forget to hit the like button. I haven't checked how many likes we have because I'm kind of juggling here. I'm sitting in, so I don't know if you guys know how many likes we have, but keep hitting that like button. We haven't been here, but we still enjoy our little thumbs up. Personally, I feel like we have to do what we have to do to keep Isaiah Hartenstein. And I see some people in the chat talking about 20 million. I mean, we can't. We should offer him the max that we can offer him, based on the NBA rules, based on the early bird rights. And like Jay Boogie said, I don't think he's gonna go to a different scene for $2 million. It's just not enough of a difference for him to leave New York and go somewhere else, like Oklahoma City or whatever. These guys, they understand the importance of chemistry. Those things matters to them. They feel like there's like a brotherhood that these guys develop over the course of a couple of seasons. That, I mean, think about it. $2 million is not going to make a huge difference at the end of the day. When these guys retire and they finish playing, they made like $400 million.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Does the Caruso extension after that trade take the Thunder out of the Hartenstein sweepstakes, do you think? Because they just made that trade for him, and they're gonna either have to extend him or lose him for nothing. If they're gonna have him, I'm imagining they're gonna want to keep him around. I don't know what the numbers are specifically, but do you think that a Caruso extension would preclude the Thunder, or do they have enough cap space to give him the extension and offer iHeart $20 million per season?
We'd have to look at the cap situation, but I don't think they don't have. I mean, they have cap space. I don't know how much that they have. I want to say somewhere in the mid-20s that they have in cap space. We'd have to look. We'd have to look at that.
And maybe that they acquired because they acquired his rights, they can go over the cap to do the extension too. I don't know. I'm not sure how all that works. I was just curious if you guys knew if that would be a factor or not.
But so let's look at OKC though. And everybody's saying that Oklahoma City, I mean, aside from their books that are like they have the money available, but structurally, do they? So I mean, they have so they don't really have a dominant center. They have Chet, who's really, I mean, he's tall enough to be a center, but physically he's almost like a power forward because he just can't bang down low with those guys. Would they go all out to get Isaiah Hartenstein to bring a center? Like we're speculating, like, and we're taking this based on what we hear in the media. We're assuming that they're saying what they know. But if you're OKC, are you gonna go all out and pay Isaiah Hartenstein a lot of money because you really need a center that badly?
Hey, real quick, I'm just saying it's saying Oklahoma is projected to have the 5th most cap space in the NBA upcoming this season. One of them is saying that the Thunder can generate over 30 million in cap space come this summer, and potentially 40 million or more depending on other factors. So they in position that, you know what I'm saying, to clear some space.
Yeah, that's why I said mid-20s. They have mid-20s. They could move some pieces around to make it 30. I didn't know they could go all the way to 40, so they'd have to do some crazy maneuvering over there to make that happen.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Go ahead.
The thing with OKC is if they give iHeart a contract, it'll probably be a 2-year contract because they got to pay Jalen Williams in another year or two. They have to pay Chet in another 2 years or so. So I can't see them giving iHeart like a 4-year deal. But they may give him a inflated 2-year deal. But he would have to decide if he wants to play in OKC. His wife is a model.
That's big,
is that where they want to be? I think if the Knicks pay the max, which is 16.2 to start, and say Oklahoma City pays 20, let's just say they do that. I think for $2.5 million a year, it's not my money, obviously. I think he would stay. I think he would stay with the Knicks. Now, if the Knicks want to come in at 14 or 15, that's going to be, that's a big dip.
The other thing you have to think about is $20 million in Oklahoma City is a lot more than $16 million in NYC, because NYC has city taxes and state taxes as well as federal taxes, and Oklahoma City doesn't have all of those taxes. So if you're making a $20 million salary, you're probably pulling home 10. If you're making a $16 million salary in New York, you're probably pulling home closer to 6 or 7.
Yeah, that's a good point. How's my audio? I'm on my phone now. Is it decent?
No,
It's
you need
really
to
good
much better.
comparatively.
continue
Much
on
better.
talking. We're not even going to stop you. Go ahead.
It's much better on the
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about iHeart. I think one of the things that's underestimated, we talk about OG's fit on this team, both offensively and defensively, but iHeart's fit, particularly on the offensive end, I think we underestimate that. To be able to have a center with his vision and his passing ability to move your offense along, that helps. Now, he's not at a Porzingis, level, but what makes Boston, one of the things I should say that makes them difficult is that every one of them is a threat to either score or move the ball. You're not doubling off of anybody on Boston. And the thing about, iHeart, you got to play him. Okay, he's not going to shoot a three. He's only averaging 8 points a game, but you have to play up on him. You have to be honest. And that opens up the passing lanes for our guys. And with him, the cutting of an OG, the cutting of a DiVincenzo is in play because he can make that pass. So when we talking about we just going to get any other center, we got to think about continuity, and we got to think about this other center might be able to give us some rebounding, may be able to defend. But is that whoever we get, can they move our offense along and the way iHeart it does? That starting unit that we have when we're healthy is humming. And I think we underestimate the part that Isaiah Hartenstein plays in that. And defensively, I don't care what anybody says. You could use that. Everybody say, "Oh, well, he didn't play well against Embiid," and he didn't. But we don't play Embiid 82 games out of the season. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
When you look at iHeart's advanced numbers, he's one of the best in the NBA. And I'm not defensively, and I'm not even talking about at the center position. Period.
Very true.
And he is a drop off from Mitchell Robinson defensively. But Mitchell Robinson is much more of a drop off offensively than Isaiah Hartenstein. So I just think if you do plus minus and you mix both offense and defense, Isaiah Hartenstein is a more complete player for us. Now, would I like to have both of them? Absolutely. I would like to have both. But the Knicks are going to have to make some hard decisions in the next year as they hit up against that second apron. Do you want to trade one of them, iHeart or Mitch, and bring in a cheaper center to play behind your starting center? Like that's what I would do. I would not have, and shout out to JJ in the chat. I agree with him. I'm not putting $30 million into my center position, not in today's NBA. I'm just not doing that. And I also think, shout out to Nev the Disruptor, we don't agree on a lot of things, but I don't even think iHeart has reached his offensive ceiling at all. I think there's more to come. And a lot of it has to do with, Thibodeau trusting him a little more, giving him a little more responsibility on that offensive end, particularly if he's in there without the starting unit. So to me, I think both OG and iHeart are priorities before we start talking about who else we're going to sign in free agency and who else we're going to, and who we're going to draft.
It's a sticky situation, man. We gotta find a way to keep those guys. And shout out to the chat, man. I'm reading the chat, man. Some of you guys are bugging. Shout out to Sherwin, man. I don't know what Sherwin is. Whatever. Anyway, so Isaiah I'm reading the chat. Sorry, guys. Like they talking about Andre Drummond, you know, playing better than iHeart when they play head to head. Who cares? That doesn't matter. You got to look at the stats. You got to look at the numbers over 82 games. We play Andre Drummond like 3-4 times a year. It doesn't matter what they do head to head. It's really pointless to have that, to make those comments, guys. Like I don't know how you guys look at these games or the season overall. Look at these players. It really doesn't matter head to head. Like who, like this guy eats this guy's lunch. That's not the point. Like who makes who better? Which guy make which team better? That's what you got to look at, right? Does Andre Drummond made the Chicago Bulls better? Like really? Better than Isaiah Hartenstein made the Knicks? Or would Andre Drummond fit the Knicks better than Isaiah Hartenstein? Yeah, Andre Drummond would be good here as a backup to Isaiah Hartenstein. But you're not going to take out iHeart and put Drummond and think you're going to be a better team. Like, what are you guys watching? What are you guys looking at?
Right. It's not about the points, Sherwin. Drummond in 17 minutes, 9 rebounds and 8 points. It's not about the stat. How is our offense running with Drummond? How is our defense with Drummond? I mean, come on, Sherwin. You better than that. You got a really good basketball mind. It's not about stats. If you look at Hartenstein's stats, they're not that impressive. He's averaging like 8 points, 8 points a game. But you got to watch the game and see what it does for our offense overall. That's going to tell the story.
Yeah, the activity on offense and on defense, both ends of the court. The activity. That win. Those stats that they don't show up on the stat sheet, but they make a difference in the outcome of the game. Anyway, so who else? Who else do we? Bojan Bogdanovic. What do we do with him?
And we could talk about Precious too if you want. I think he's gone.
Yeah, let's. Yeah, okay. We do Bogey and let's do Precious. So in a couple of days, I want to say June. What's the date? June 29th, maybe. We have to make a decision on whether we're gonna, take up fully guarantee his 18 or 19 million dollars, or just give him a couple of $1 million, let him walk away. So what do we do with that? Queen, you want to go first since you clear right now?
I read somewhere that true, the Knicks can pick up his option, and he would be, if a trade came along, they can use his salary. But I also read somewhere, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, that if they forego that and just let him walk and sign and have to pay him $2 million, that they would then have the non-taxpayers mid-level exception, if I'm not mistaken, and then be able to sign a player. I think I'm leaning more toward that because picking up the option, you have to wait and hope that a player becomes available that you can take advantage of. Whereas if you let him walk, there are guys out on the market right now that we can use the mid-level exception on that I feel really good about. So I like Oubre. Is he a knockdown shooter? Absolutely not. He's inconsistent in that respect. But an energy guy, a guy who can play really good defense, a guy who can get hot offensively, and a guy who would be a really good insurance policy for OG Anunoby if he was to go down. I'm okay either way because I do like Bogey and what he brought to us when he was healthy. But if I had to choose, I would release him and sign somebody with the non-taxpayers mid-level exception.
Well, besides Oubre, which I also happen to like, who else did you have in mind? What if Oubre decides to stay with the
with
with the
Philly because
76ers?
they have the money to sign him. Yeah. Um, I'm not sure who else I like. Caruso would have been a trade, right? He's not on the free agent market. He would have been a trade. I really liked him. I would have. I'm not sure who else is out there to be honest. If there's a guard out there that could play in that second unit, um, I would go with that. And I like what Deuce is doing. But if we were to get another ball handler, he could play next to Deuce. Like Deuce can still, play the two. Where all of these minutes are coming from, that's a that's another story. But I do think I would look for a another ball handler with it.
So a couple of things. If you use the non-taxpayer mid-level exception, you hard cap yourself at that first apron.
Yes, you do.
So
You do.
So just realize that. And the other thing that I'll say on the positive end of that is you can actually now use that non-taxpayer mid-level exception in a trade,
Mm-hmm.
like just a regular traded player exception. So in other words, you could use that $13 million salary in a trade with, along with other parts and pieces if you wanted. In other words, maybe a team doesn't want Bojan Bogdanovic, for whatever, they don't want to pay him $19 million this year. But if they have a $13 million traded player exception, that may be something that's more attractive to them.
Right.
Excuse me, if you're talking about aggregating salary in a bigger trade.
Right.
Now, again, you kind of have to be careful with that again because it hard caps you at the first apron. So I think you kind of have to be careful with if you want to use the non-taxpayer MLE. But the other thing about the non-taxpayer MLE, if you decide to use it, you don't have to use it on one player. You could split it. You could use it on two players.
Right.
So there are definitely avenues that it does give you more flexibility as opposed to just being locked into Bojan. But on the flip side of it, Bojan was playing with a hurt wrist last year, and he made some big shots for us in the playoffs. And so if he has an off season to get healthy, could he be a contributor as a ninth man and provide that salary if we need it for a big trade at the same time? Maybe so. And the only reason I bring that up is I say that because I don't think it matters what you do with the bogey situation. I think whatever choice they make is fine. That's my if we end up keeping him to keep that salary around and maybe hold on to him and roster him and he's playable next year, that's fine. If we decide that we're going to cut him and then we're just going to take the $2 million cap hit, that's fine. You could even stretch that if you needed the extra salary cap room for something else. If it came down the pike, again, you would potentially have use of the non-taxpayer MLE if you wanted to use it, and if you were confident that you were okay with hard capping yourself at that first apron. So there's a lot involved in that in both directions, but to me, whatever outcome they decide on that is fine. And I think it will be very telling for what direction the front office is looking to go by what decision that they choose to make. And also they can even, that deadline is flexible. They can even push it back if Bojan agrees to it till later in the summer, if need be. So I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying that's a possibility too.
What do you think? What do you say, Jay Boogie?
Well, how's this? I heard Chat Sports, speak upon the same thing earlier in the week. As far as freeing up maybe like $55 million by releasing him or whatever it is, for Oubre. I mean, you got to do what's best for the team. Whatever the situation it is, what's best direction. You know, I'm confident that Leon is going to figure out what it is that he needs to do. You know, one step at a time, piece by piece. You know, I know they're anticipating or wanting to know him and want to hear breaking news. And so many times, the Knicks are so quiet about what they got going on, and don't share it with us. You know what I'm saying? I'm okay with that, just as long as they make the right decisions. They've been proving every time they don't let something out, they always come back and do something, that makes the teams better. 2 straight years he don't made 2 in-season trades. One was Josh Hart and one was OG, so I just feel like, Leon is going to make the right decisions, right now, that's best for the team. And at the same time, he's still listening and peeping to see if this whatever so-called maybe superstar might come available. Whatever superstar that is, that's on Leon. Far as him, he really feels like he still got to bring a superstar to this city. Jalen Brunson is not our superstar. He's just a player that became a superstar in the season, with the Knicks. He feel like he still has to do his job, and bring that marquee player over here that's going to make us, that's supposed to be able to take us over the top. I don't know what that is, but something is going to have to be done with Bogdanovich, and something's going to have to be done with OG. Something's going to have to be done with Hartenstein real soon. And real soon, starting Monday morning, because that draft is Thursday. If I'm not mistakenly, that draft is Thursday. You need to start figuring out what you're going to do, what your game plan is, and get things rolling. But I just have all the confidence in the office. That's just me.
Jay, I hear you with the superstar stuff. I don't buy into that. That's media talk. That's to me that's BS, right? We have 2 guys that became all-star while with the Knicks.
Right.
I mean, if you growing, if you have a farm system that's turning these guys into all-stars, them paying a superstar a lot of money to come here. And if OG Anunoby could play a whole season fully healthy, I don't know if he's going to be an all-star, but he's going to be on some all-NBA team, if he could play. So we have guys who kind of fit that criteria. I don't know superstar, but definitely all-star, and some of the better players in the league, all NBA guys in the league. So I don't know if the front office feel that they have to bring in an all-star. That's what the media is saying, but for some reason, man, I'm not buying it, man. First of all, who's out there? Who's available? Who's out there that you would qualify as a superstar that right now, that currently is available, that the Knicks can go after, and that would make financial sense and basketball sense at the same time? Like it's just and shout out to David L. Bay, who, and let me post this up. You talk about New Jersey. Talk about Mikal Bridges, right? This is another guy I hear talking about a lot, right? And his contract is not, I think he's getting paid $25 million a year, $25 million a year. And he's under contract for another 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. Because his extension, like his thing just kicked. Oh no, 2 years. I'm sorry. I think he's under contract for 2 years. Do the Knicks go after a guy like? I mean, he's not a superstar, but if we bring him in, people are gonna feel like the front office is bringing somebody in that everybody wants. How do you guys feel about somebody like Mikal Bridges? And how much do you think the Knicks should give up to get somebody like that? If we're able to deal with the Brooklyn Nets.
That's not a superstar, but that guy right there makes us a superstar team.
Right.
That guy, you bring that guy over here, you're talking about a different squad, all the way around. And if he wants to be here, the Knicks can go get him. And I believe the Knicks want to go get him because of the tandem, putting them guys together, and letting them play together and doing that there. They're on that Villanova wagon. They're on that. And in some kind of way that this guy leaks or lets it be known that he wants to be over here, they're going to go get him. Because I'm going to tell you, doing that, I can't think of the game that was on or whatever. And Brunson was on top of the balcony and they showed the footage, when they got Josh Hart and they went and told him right then and there, yo, we got Josh Hart. He was like, yes. That wasn't a yes, like a surprise yes. He already knew that this guy won. That was a more like, yeah, they went and got my guy. I needed him. I told you. That's what I got from Brunson. I don't know about anybody else, but if they find if this guy wants to come over here, oh, trust and believe, them guys is going to be in their ear telling him to go get him. So, I mean, I would love to see that dude over here. And you're stripping back up the bench by putting Dante back over there. Now you got two guys, and OG and Mikal that could play perimeter wing, and if something ain't going right with OG, okay, you got somebody that can take his place. Not as great as him on defense, but he's not that much of a slack from him. He can't play that, that lockdown D. So, but when I'm talking about bringing a superstar over here, man, them guys want to do that, man. They want somebody else over here, and you don't want to not bring somebody over here and as y'all been saying, hard cap the team and everything. You stuck and you can't do nothing. And the squad we got here can't get no better, can't win. You don't want to do that.
But Bug, let me ask you a question though. How much you willing to give up for? Who are you willing to part with to go get Mikal Bridges?
Right now, I give up Mitch, I give up Deuce, and I give up maybe a two picks, or maybe two straight up picks, and along with what you call it? What's the other pick if it's not straight up?
Pick swap.
Yeah, I'll do that. And immediately, because I can almost replace Deuce right now, and I damn sure can replace Mitch, far as somebody else can come off the bench, and Hartenstein being my starter. You just think of, Jalen Brunson, Mikal, OG, Julius, and Hartenstein, Josh Hart, Dante, and Precious, and a couple of other. And we don't even know what we're gonna do in the draft, but we're gonna fill in the gaps with somebody else. Matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you exactly what I've been saying. My two players that I want on this team that I feel like is Mikal and Marcus Smart. Those are the two players I look at. That's gonna
in terms of. Sorry, J Buggy, go ahead.
No. That's I just was cutting it short. Just speeding to the end of. Those are my two players I would love to have on this team.
Yeah, I would say.
Go ahead, Queen.
I'm not sure how much they would want Mitch unless they lose Nick Claxton in free agency. The thing about Mikal Bridges, and I like him, and the team would definitely be better. He's a third option. I'm not sure how much pressure he takes off of Brunson. He takes some pressure off of Brunson, though. Don't get me wrong. I think if the Knicks are going to make a significant move, go get a 1A. When if you're going to do that. I mean, I like him, but if we can get a Booker, or we can get a Paul George, if we can get somebody of that ilk, I would prefer that better. But I don't have a problem with Bridges. He's not somebody that I'm like, we have to get this guy. He's the missing piece. But I do see where he would where he would definitely help this team. If you have him on the wing and you got OG on that other wing, and OG is healthy, that is that's a really good team.
I don't think in any way Brooklyn Bridges is going to the Knicks. First of all, I think the Nets want to keep Bridges. I think it's one of their foundational pieces. He's young. He's on a good contract. He's under contract. There's not any real impetus to move him. And if there is, there's not really any impetus to move him to New York. If they were going to move him, I think Houston would probably be more likely. Just my opinion on that. But, I understand the whole Villanova thing. I'm not sure that Bridges is a good player. I think having DiVincenzo as the 2 is a better fit for what we have than trying to shoehorn Bridges in at the 2. I don't really know. I think he's more of a 3. You could even play him up at the 4 if you needed to. But I think he's more of an OG duplication than he is. And maybe that's what you want, just judging by, OG's health over the years. But if you're going to be paying OG $35+ million and then you're going to bring in Mikal, I don't see that making a whole lot of sense just from a basketball fit wise. But Bridges is a terrific player, and he certainly has the team chemistry with Hart and DiVincenzo and Brunson. So not saying that it can't work or anything. I don't think that the stars are ever going to align to see that happen. In fact, I think it would be more likely that if he got traded to Houston, and then we would end up making a deal with Houston later on down the line to acquire him. Would be a path that I could see him coming to New York. But I don't see the Knicks and Nets haven't made a trade since like 1983. So I don't think that's going to start now, especially if they think that deal would push the Knicks closer to a championship. I don't think the Nets want any part of that. So, love Bridges as a player. I don't see it happening for basketball reasons. I don't see it happening for non-basketball reasons. I wouldn't put a whole lot. I wouldn't put a whole lot of money down. I wouldn't bet my mortgage payment on Mikal switching buildings in New York.
I will say this though, he's a better player than DiVincenzo. He's a better player than DiVincenzo. I mean, you could talk about how their numbers are similar. Mikal Bridges can put the ball on the floor and pull up for a basket. Like, he is a legitimate third option. I don't think DiVincenzo is a legitimate third option. DiVincenzo, you have to create for him. Mikal Bridges can get a basket. You could put the ball in his hand. Now he's in that position with Brooklyn. He's not a number 1, but if you move him to the Knicks to a number 3 option, somebody who can actually put the ball on the floor and get a basket. He takes tough shots. He's not afraid to take shots in the in the waning moments of games. So, and I'm not, he's a good player. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying if you're gonna upgrade. But yeah, he's a good player.
Queen, I
understand. Real quick, Agi, we got 112 more people than it is than the likes we got. We got 187, got 75 likes. I need those to ante up, man. Ante up the likes. Hit the like buttons. If you watching, you in the chat and you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button, please. So that we give you great contact. And it's only the right thing to do. Please hit the like button, please.
That's scandalous. Because I'm not checking the likes. Like, Jay Boogman, thanks for bringing it. We have 183 watching and only 78 likes. Man, we haven't been here for 3 weeks. We know you guys. We missed you guys, and we know you guys missed us. Come on, show the appreciation, man. Come on.
What's on and who's on anywhere else right now?
And Queen, we kind of had that conversation in the back, behind the scenes, and I kind of agree with Geoff. With this, so Mikal Bridges coming here, it's actually a better sexy story than it is a basketball thing. It doesn't. So when you combine the basketball reason, so the team structure and the money part, because that's very important. I don't think that's something the Knicks are interested in, because I know you're saying, and I agree with you, Mikal Bridges is a better player than DiVincenzo, but on this team, their production is similar, and it just doesn't make sense for the Knicks to go pay twice as much to get literally the same thing this guy is giving you. DiVincenzo is giving you almost, so even if Mikal Bridges come over here and he's 3 points better, like, is it worth to pay double? Because DiVincenzo is making half the money Mikal Bridges is making. Okay, to me, the only advantage to bring Mikal Bridges is he would be an insurance plan in case OG Anunoby goes down, which we know most likely historically he's gonna go down at some point in the season. So now you have a backup three. You have somebody you could, you could slide over at the 3 and bring DiVincenzo off the bench to start at the 2. It's that's the only reason why I would understand the Knicks doing that. But money wise,
but Ajay, it's not just about switching out stats. Oh, this guy is going to only score 3 more points. Sometimes the move is a more dynamic move. When you think about when we brought in OG doesn't score as many points as as RJ Barrett, but our team was better, even though he scored less points because he brought other things that made the whole better. I'm with you in the sense that I'm not pounding the table for Mikal Bridges, but I'm telling you, if you switch out DiVincenzo for Mikal Bridges, the Knicks are better. I'm not saying I'm pounding the table for him, but the Knicks would be better if you had Mikal Bridges, because there are times, now this may be less of an issue when we get Randall back, but Brunson was the only one stirring the drink. He was the only one stirring the drink. Mikal Bridges is somebody that can get a basket. That's all I'm saying. He's somebody you can put the ball in his hand and he can get a basket. Now, is he the knockdown shooter that DiVincenzo is? He's not, but keep in mind, DiVincenzo is inconsistent as well. He'll have games where he's, 6 for 8 or 6 for 9, and then he'll have other games where he's 2 for 8. This is a guy, and again, I feel like I'm contradicting myself because, again, I'm not pounding the table for him, but the Knicks would be a better team. He can defend that position much better than DiVincenzo can, and DiVincenzo's not a slouch, but he can defend that position much better, and he's a legitimate number 3. A legitimate. Like, we're looking at OG, and we're like, all right, well, we see OG in the playoffs. He was a little more aggressive. Maybe he could be that number 3. No, Mikal Bridges is legit number 3. And remember, this was his first time in this position coming from Phoenix. And he's not a number 1. That's fine, right? We learned that about Randall, right? A few years ago. He's not a number 1. Doesn't mean he's not a good player. I'm not pounding the table for him, but the Knicks would be better if Mikal Bridges at the 2. Yeah, I don't even think it's
Queen. No, Queen. Pound the table, Queen. Pound the table. Turn it, flip it over. Because you're going to make the team much better. And that's not to say anything towards what the season that Dante's had. But if you put Dante and he's doing what he's doing, he coming off that bench, that's what's going to make the team even more better too. And you got, you want guys to be able to go ahead and go get a bucket, at least 3 out of 5 times. That's a good number. At least 3 out of 5 times outside of your offensive set. I like Bridges getting more buckets outside of the offensive set than Dante, but I don't want to make it a debate between those two right there, but I'm talking about if you put that dude with OG, another guy that can catch, shoot, and slash to the basket, forget the defense, and can rebound and push the ball up himself and make the right decision to play, that's great basketball. And you're going to need great basketball if you're thinking about beating the Boston Celtics next year. All that, if we get healthy and all that, okay, that's cool and dandy. And I feel like that because we all wanted to see the team healthy, periodly. We know we beat Indiana, even if OG is there. You know what I'm saying? But to beat Boston, you're going to have guys at every position on the court, along with guys that's coming off you see them guys coming off that bench for Boston, shooting that rock, filling the gaps, playing their role, moving without the ball, the chemistry and all that. You're going to have all that type continuity amongst this team in the starters and the bench. You can't strengthen the starters and weaken the bench. You want to strengthen both of them at the same time. And if you can put Dante back to his normal rotation, you know what I'm saying, and let him do what he's doing, that's great. That's great continuity all across the board for the Knicks. Because mess around and keep letting Dante put up another season like that, guess what? Dante gonna be talking about, I need $23 million. I'm different from Jobs. I need more money. Put him in his place right now. Check him right now. Get back on that bench. I ain't giving you no $23 million. I'm just playing.
I want to say this before we go ahead, Adrian.
No, I was gonna say a little heads up to a conversation we're gonna be having closer to the beginning of next season. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, DiVincenzo is a legit third option. Okay. But we'll have that talk later on. I mean, you gotta remember this. That was his first season. That was season number 1. Look at what we got. Season number 2, we don't even need him to get better. We just need him to be more consistent. And then it's done. For that little bit of money, relatively little bit of money, we got ourselves a steal. That was season 1.
But let me say this. Being a third option is also about mentality, not just about skill. So DiVincenzo definitely has to get that mid-range in, because there was times he would go in, instead of pulling up for the mid-range, he's going all the way to the basket. So and listen, he can develop that. But being a third option is also about mentality. Like, that was one thing we were talking about with OG. Does he have that aggressive mentality? Forget his game. Does he have the aggressive mentality to be a 3, put the ball in his hand, go get a bucket, or does he feel more comfortable playing off of people, right? Same thing with Devo. Does he feel comfortable playing off people, or do he feel comfortable initiating shots? So there's a mentality to being a third option as well.
I agree, and I think he showed us both throughout the season. You got to remember, they put, like, he started the season in a different role than he ended up, so he adjusted. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like a moving target, right? So next season, now he knows, okay, this is your job. You're the 2 guard starting for this. So this is go do what you got to do as a shooting guard. It's going to be a different game. Like, to me, it's going to be so
much better. Yeah. No, I agree with that. Can I say one thing before we move on about the salary cap? Sure. And I can't say that I'm an expert on the cap, so Geoff and whoever else is in the chat want to chime in. Can we stop talking about money when it comes to the salary cap? And can we start talking about roster restrictions? Because that's really what you're talking about when you're talking about the salary cap. You're talking about you're talking about hitting that second tier. So it's not about the money. If the Knicks, the Knicks can put together a trade for, the Knicks can sign OG, they can sign IHart, they can trade for Mikal Bridges if they want, and then in the next offseason, extend Brunson and Randall. It's not about the money. It's the fact that you locking yourself into that team, and it's going to be very difficult for you to make any improvements if that team doesn't pan out the way you hope it pans out. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I think the thing is the Knicks are trying to sign these players and stay below. There's no way they're going to not be a tax team. I think that's going to be impossible this season. What I'm hearing is that they don't want to go past the first apron. If I'm not mistaken, but that's a choice. So again, Nick, it's not about the money. It's about the Knicks wanting to stay below the first apron so that they can have roster flexibility. They're not going to be able to do that forever, though. At some point, they're going to cross that first apron. And when you start getting into Randall and Brunson's contract, you're going to be at the second apron at some point. There's just no way they're going to be able to get around it. But it's not a money issue. It's more about the Knicks wanting to keep their roster flexibility, at least for now. And anybody else can chime. If I got that wrong, because like I said, I'm not an expert on the cap by any means.
I think you're spot on. Actually, I think what they want to avoid is being the Phoenix Suns.
Right?
Phoenix Suns are a second apron team, not even first. They're a second apron team, and they got bounced in the first round of the playoffs. And that makes it extremely difficult to improve your roster, and they don't even have a lot of draft picks. So, I think that the Knicks are willing to be a first apron team or even a second apron team. But if they're going to cross that threshold of the second apron, I think it's because they want to have Randall and Brunson and third star X, whoever that may be, because, Boston's above the second apron, but nobody cares because they won the chip.
Right.
Golden State was above the second apron and they were awful. That's look, we know about being in salary cap hell, and having a terrible team. That was, the Isaiah Thomas years, but it was never as punitive as it is now. The restrictions for being above the second apron are extremely punitive, and so you want to be really, as you say, you want to be real cognizant of you can make those moves, but you make those moves, you better be a bona fide contender if you're gonna surf in those waters.
Correct.
Because once you're stuck pretty much with what you have.
Yeah. And listen, the way the salary cap is right now, we can forget about free agency. Like, if you want a player, it's going to be signing trades going forward. Like, guys are not hitting the free agent market where they're going to take less. They're going to sign. They're going to be signing trades. So if we're talking about Donovan Mitchell, and I think that ship has sailed, this is not going to be having money in free agency to sign him. He's not getting to free agency. If Cleveland is smart, these are signing trades.
Right.
I don't even think you can do a sign and trade if you're above the first apron.
That's true too. That's true.
So, but I do think you're right. I do think that the way the system is, that you're going to see a lot more happen with trades, and that's what makes it difficult too. Second apron teams can't aggregate salaries in trades, so
that's true.
You have to do one for one, which makes it very difficult also. Well, we'll see this summer what Philadelphia does. Philadelphia is really the test case, because here's a team with 2 stars and tons of cap space, and we'll see kind of what they're able to do with that. I think it's very interesting, as moving forward, because it may be the last time that you really are able to do that. I kind of think that Queen said this a while ago, but I've been chewing on it for a while, and I kind of think it's right. I think that the days of the super team are over. Like, you're going to have your 2 stars, and you're going to have to, like, I'm not talking about this year's Celtics, because they are kind of they have 4 I can think you'd say 5 bona fide all-star caliber players, but again, they really they got a couple of guys that bargain basement discount prices via trade, and so that kind of skewed the calculus. But you're really going to have, like in their case, Brown and Tatum are going to be your $300 million men making $60 million a season. So they're going to be the cornerstones of your franchise, and you're going to have to work within slim margins to improve off of that. And I think that's just kind of how team building is going to be. It's going to, I think you're going to see a squeezing of these Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo size deals, and you're going to see a lot of these players with the big $60 million a year deals, and you're going to see a lot of players with the Deuce McBride kind of deals where, he's only making $4 million, and he's having to provide valuable minutes for your team because you can't, that's what you can afford. I mean, I think the economics of the league is definitely steering that way, and the teams that can navigate those waters the best are going to be the ones who are going to be the most competitive. And I think that's where having Brock Aller in our front office is huge, because if you look at, nobody talks about Jalen Brunson's on a descending contract. Mitchell Robinson's on a descending contract. He didn't give Julius Randle a max. I'd be interested to see what ends up happening with OG Anunoby's contract and how it's structured. Are there make a lot of makeable bonuses for playing time considerations and those sorts of things? I don't know. We may not have that luxury to do that, though, because if reports are believed, and I don't know that they are, Philly things kind of fell apart with them in PG-13, and if they're going to do a full court press on OG, the Knicks can't mess around. They've got to get him back in the building. I mean, because there's just not an option on the table that's not going to be expensive and cost you other assets to acquire to replace him. I mean, and that's the thing about OG and Isaiah. Like him or hate him, they're your own talent. All you have to do is spend money on them. It's not costing you extra picks or extra, or it's not costing you a rotation player to get them. It's not costing any of that. And that's why it's so imperative that those two guys return.
Yeah. And then you don't want to lose ground, like we talked about earlier. We want to build on what we have,
right?
And not lose. And I'm not saying we can't replace OG and we can't replace iHeart. It's just that you're rolling the dice and you're trying to keep pace at the same time.
And I think we're gonna keep. Oh, go ahead, Boog.
No, I was muted. That's 3 people we lose. We don't bring OG back. We can't afford to do that. If we lose OG, you might well say that's IQ, RJ, and OG. They gone. So and I also think Philly trying to put pressure on the Knicks to make sure that they overpay. You know what I'm saying? So it can mess up some more of the other things that they can do to far as help the team and in other ways. I think the thing with Paul George fell apart because the money wasn't talking right for him to walk away from the 51. My understanding, he's going back. Little intel, my homeboy, he just came back in town, and we got with him over the last weekend, but to my understanding, he's going back to the Clippers. Because it's hard to walk away from $51 million at the end of your career. Oh,
no doubt.
You walk away from that. They got to be putting $160 million on the table right now for him to even walk out of that. Leave it on the table. You got to be putting $40 million per year. You know, and I don't think Philly wants to do that. You know, but I
Not
know
in
we
year 3 or year 4 of that contract for sure. They don't want to do. First 2 years would probably be all right, but year 3 and year 4 that gets a little bit scary because he's not a spring chicken.
Yeah, but you know, before I take the 2 year, let's say they give me a 3 year a 2 year with a 3rd year team option, you know, at 120, right? So you already telling me possibility I might not even come back, you know, per office say for my 3rd year. So before I look for that 81 for 2 years, let me get that 51 for 1 year.
Right.
I'm gonna get that. And that's the smart thing to do.
And LA's home.
And you're home. You know, with all the ace bandages and crutches and everything y'all got going on over there, man. You know what I'm saying? Don't get your money back. You're all up in the K-Dot show and everything. Kendrick Lamar had all y'all there. Man, rock on out there. Rock on, man.
Yep. Yo, man! Shout out to the chat, keeping it moving, But y'all gotta hit that like button, man. We still not where we want to be with the
Yeah,
like.
we one away from 100. One away.
I got 100 books, so somebody just click the thumbs up. But we still short, man. We still got 179 watchers. 79 people holding back.
I got 212.
Dang.
Oh, you got okay, because
I see 213.
YouTube is showing 212, but on the
I see.
Yeah, YouTube is showing 178. So we do have 212 when you combine all the other ones.
Yeah. Are we gonna talk about potential players? Or are we gonna just save that to once we sign our own players to talk about, you know, what the Knicks could possibly need and what's out there? I would have to take a look myself at the free agent market. I'm not even sure what's out there. I would love the Knicks to get another guard, but
no, but I mean, we could talk about that on a future show, Queen. If you, I mean, you know, it's gonna be a long summer. You know, we got to leave a little meat on the bone, like you said. Well, one thing we should probably talk about right now because of timing is like, what do we think the Knicks are gonna do come draft night? Because that's next week sometime.
Yeah.
Right. And what date is the draft? Is that on the 20th?
It's either Wednesday or Thursday.
It's Wednesday.
2 days now.
Wednesday and Thursday. So that means by the time we come back on next Thursday, the draft would have already been in motion. So what do y'all think? What do you think the Knicks will do, and what do you want them to do? I mean, are we finally gonna? I don't know. I don't know what Knicks gonna do, man, when it comes to drafts. And
I don't think we'll trade up, but I think we'll keep one pick and possibly trade the other two. I think we'll keep one pick and trade the other two. I wouldn't be surprised if that kid Dunn ended up in a Knicks uniform, although he's not a very good shooter, so I don't see how, like, his defensive ability is off the charts from what I understand, but I don't know if he's going to be a good enough shooter to see the floor. But you know, I don't think anybody we draft is going to be a rotation player
right
this season regardless. So, you know, it's pretty much take your shot at who you think is going to be, you know, potential for down the road, good G League guy. And if we had another disaster season like this one with injuries, you know, maybe a guy who can come in case of an emergency. And I guess that's the appeal of Dunn, is at least on the defensive end of the floor, it looks like he's NBA ready from Jump Street. A lot of people that's the name I'm hearing the most. There's a lot of smoke around that Virginia kid. As far as other guys, I don't know. My understanding is not that strong a draft class, so I'm not really overly excited about having 2 late first round picks in a weak draft class. And I don't think you're going to be able to move those picks for anything substantial because future draft classes are going to be stronger. So it is interesting to see, what the Knicks decide to do and how that moves. And it's the first step, though. We'll see. It'd be very interesting to kind of see how the ball gets rolling.
I like
Yeah.
that kid. Son. Go ahead, Queen.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Queen.
No, I don't have much to say. I have not looked at one clip of a draftee. That I just don't see the Knicks. I don't see a draft. The Knicks may draft a player. I agree with Geoff. Maybe they'll draft one out of the 3 picks we have. I think in the top 40. I don't see a draftee being in the Knicks rotation next season at all. I just don't. I just don't see it. Look about how long it took McBride to get into the rotation. Unless this guy is coming out like phenomenal or we have injuries, I just don't see them. Whoever we pick being in the rotation. So this is not really a discussion for me. I will lean into you guys.
Well, but do you feel in the direction that the new CBA is going? They almost forcing the teams to draft new talent as opposed to looking into free agency so they're almost forcing you to get guys and develop them into the players you want them to be instead of trying to go after players who are already developed. So don't you think that kind of factors in? And I have a feeling we're gonna actually gonna draft 3 players.
Wow, 3?
Yeah. We have 3 picks. I really think we unless a trade, well, of course, unless a trade happens that we and a trade doesn't mean we're gonna trade this year's draft pick, but I wouldn't be surprised if we end up drafting 3 guys and put them in the G League, develop them for a couple of years down the line, because in a couple of years, what do you do? Like you're handcuffed, like as far as that CBA is concerned. You can't really do much except for the guys that you have.
Yeah, shout out to Shot Powers. We're 8 players with OG and iHeart. We need 6 to 7 more players. We do have to get to 14. Listen, I'm all for the Knicks shoring up the back half of that bench with players that they're developing down the line. So, that's fine. But can you find those players in the second round where the salary isn't guaranteed, as opposed to finding them in the first round?
Yeah, he's ranked at number 54 right now.
Yeah, Sherwin. I don't see us drafting any first round picks either. Though both of those first round picks would cost only about $5 million, 5 point something million together.
They're 25, 26.
Yeah.
But if you trade them and you get them second rounders and future picks, then you might be able to get away with $1 or $2 million, and that extra $2 or $3 million could be the difference between a player that you want. It was the calculus we made when we traded Obi Toppin to the Pacers. Cover your ears, IJ. I know those 2 worthless second round picks. But it was the calculus that the player that we wanted was Dante DiVincenzo. And so we carved out that space. We cleared it away, and it cost us a good player, and we didn't get a huge return. Well, we got practically no return, but in essence, we traded Obi for DDV, and and I would consider that an upgrade personally, but opinions vary.
Right.
I like this guy, Dunn. I like his game. The way I look at his game, when everybody told me he can't shoot, he's so much. He can be better than what's his name, Okoro for Cleveland. He couldn't shoot. but he was able to develop some type shot during the offseason coming into this season. But this guy's a freak athlete. He defends well, he rebounds well, but he can make decisions on the court with the ball. You know, it's a lot more to his game that people are not willing to look and see that he can do because of one small thing that he can't do. When you're in the NBA, you can develop a jump shot, you can develop a catch and shoot, but all the other things, the motor, the engine, the effort, a lot of them guys don't have that. They can shoot. And that's why their careers don't be like it should be in the league. This guy right here, OG, with OG on our team, that OG gives us a solid player that can defend 2, 3, or 4. Depending on how big you is or what your game is like, you can play the 5. But we all seen that he had problems really with Maxey. So we need another guy that can defend 1, 2, and 3 when we already got a guy that can do 2, 3, and 4. You know what I'm saying? And I really like his defensive game. He's a hard-nosed worker, and he plays basketball. And if he can fall to us, that'll be good and great. But I don't think he's gonna fall down that far in the draft. I think he's gonna be further up somewhere around anywhere from 19 to 23, somewhere around there. I think he's gonna fall. But this guy right here brings a lot to the table. He can run the floor. He can finish at the rim. He can dribble the ball. He can make passing decisions. And the defense is out of this world. And like I said, you need somebody that can complement but do a little bit opposite of what, somebody else can do. Like OG can play the 2, 3, and the 4 on the defense. And we need to find us somebody that can lock down on the 1, 2, and 3. But it's a couple of guys. I like Ware, even though they say his motor, you know what I'm saying? He needed to turn up his motor. His motor got going a whole lot better, and that's one of the things with Woody brought him into Indiana. He told him he had to work. I like his athleticism. He can be his game is a young version of what's the dude named the big guy that was just playing for the Dallas Mavericks that got traded from the Washington Wizards.
Gafford.
Yeah, his game is so similar to him. To run the floor, finish at the rim, can defend the rim, but he has to want it. And Tom is great at getting things from other players, that they don't feel that they haven't released yet. Tom can find and push your buttons. If you become a likable person to him, if you are one of them guys that want to work and get an effort, he will pick on you so he can work you, if you want to work. But if you're a guy that don't want to work, he's going to leave you there, right where you at. Like, I got to have somebody that's going to give me more than what Sims is giving me now. I gotta point that out. I can't go a third year with Sims just coming in with his afro. Nah, I can't keep doing it. I need different pieces. People that's going to do different things.
Boy, he braided it though.
Yeah, he braided it. They didn't like it. He unbraided it. Put a headband around it. Say, talk to Deuce. Do something. Do something, man.
Yeah, only on DopeSoulSports talk, man.
and one more thing, and shout out because in case y'all might have, I like the signing of Mo Cheeks on our staff.
Yeah,
Mo Cheeks is here, and Brian is still here. I like that because we need more. I can deal with Brian Cheeks and Mr. Brunson, Rick. I can deal with that top 3 behind, what I'm saying, Tom. All that other stuff we got going on, all that, no, get rid of all that. All of that over there. Get rid of all that. Stripping up the bench. You think, even I don't know how much it's going to matter because their issues is always health, but you see, people are not playing with these bench coaching guys. Why do you think the Clippers brought in Van Gundy? You got to have minds on that bench. I don't want to keep seeing guys using the laptops and all that stuff there. That's not going to help me because you're looking at, and half the time when you look at the laptop, you're you're doing it for a challenge, and it's the wrong challenge. You can't even get challenges right when the most crucial times when we really need them. But I love the signing of Mo Cheeks. You know what I'm saying? It's a basketball mind and somebody that other guys are going to be able to relate to. He's well respected around the league, and that says a lot for our culture and our brand. That Cheeks would come over here, and that's great work by the office. Getting this culture right, where people want to come in and be here. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm really looking for OG to sign here, because that lets me know that you want to play for the franchise. You want to, you appreciate the organization. You appreciate what the fans is bringing to the table and loving and carrying on for you. This is why I want him to go ahead and sign back. And it means so much, that you appreciate us as a whole. And it also says that, we already don't change, but it also says that, we can bring back our own players. We ain't losing our own players, because you can't, at this day and time, when you got a marquee player like that, you can't give them up and lose them, man. You can't let them walk in and walk out, in less than a year. You can't do it. He ain't played a full season with us. We just need you to sign back with us. Whatever stipulations you're going to put in the contract, you play this amount of games. If you play this amount of games in the playoffs, if you make all defensive team, you don't forget about him making all NBA. I thought somebody said that Jaylen Brown ain't even make all NBA. So he's not going to make no all NBA. But if you can make all defensive team, honorable mentions or something like that, that's great. That's great enough for us. Great enough for me. I ain't going to speak for nobody. That's great enough for me. And continue on making them stops and continue on getting to that basket, dunking on the people, moving them out your way, man. Come on, OG. Come on, man. Get over here, man, in this orange and blue, man. You ain't never had no love like you received like you in Toronto, ever. We love you here, man.
It's a chat.
Just11, thank you for the super chat, and shout out to the chat. But Just11, thank you. The front office got a lot of work to do this summer. Time to make moves for a ball handler that'll make the game easier for Jalen Brunson. People didn't want us to get Drew Holiday, but imagine if we did now. Love the work you guys do, and thank you for the super chat, and thank you for appreciating the work that we do. I don't know that people didn't want us to get Drew Holiday. I didn't hear a whole lot of that. I mean, Drew Holiday is like all world, good defensive player, good offensive player.
I wanted Drew Holiday. You didn't hear that from me. I didn't think that was a possibility, but I would have taken him if they were given.
Yeah, in fact, I remember the opposite. Like, people wanted us to go after Drew Holiday or like, why didn't we get him? If Milwaukee had him, made him available, why didn't we go after him and get him? But thank you, Just11. Listen, Drew Holiday, like, he's the kind of guy that fits on any team, anywhere you plug him, it'll work. And we were talking about this behind the scenes before we actually went live. How Drew Holiday, not only he's good on defense, his offense is on point. Like, he's become a better 3-point shooter over the years. And then his smarts, like his basketball IQ is just like off the chart. The plays this guys make is like, how did he know? Like, how do you know to do that? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, he's an amazing player.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yep. Okay. This is there were some people who didn't want Drew Holiday because they felt like the Knicks weren't there yet. When Drew Holiday became available, that was before the OG trade. That was before the Burks-Bojan trade. So we felt, a lot of Knicks fans felt like, why are you trading for a guy when you're not a championship contender yet? But in hindsight, sometimes you get the guy and then you become championship contenders. Just think about, had we went for him and then went afterwards and signed OG, we would have been right I mean, right there. Drew Holiday would have been perfect next to Brunson. But hey,
Yeah. I mean, you get the guy when he's available, right? Whether you're ready or not. You know, if the money's right, if the basketball fit is right, and you go for him. That's how I see it.
yeah, yeah.
Hey, shout out to Knicks recap, man. I really that guy, he really puts in his work. He really searches all day long, outside of his normal profession that he does. And when he finds what he finds, or he gets, to hear what he hears, he always bring it to the table. So I just want to shout him out. I was just listening to something with him where he said that the word has come out that Hartenstein definitely wants a a contract. He doesn't want nothing, no 2-year deal. And what he was explaining is like, that plays into our favors, because 4 years, some teams, like I think we was talking about it earlier, maybe might give him a 2-year or to do whatever contract it is. But he wants a long extended contract. In 4 years, I think we can give him 4 years. We can't give him 5, can we, Captain?
No.
Yeah. So he's definitely looking, and no other team can give him 5. So that's looked like it's playing a little bit more to our favor. So maybe some more good news gonna come about, towards the Knicks, because we deserved it, we earned it. All good things that need to be heading our way as far as the New York Knicks, and yeah, man. I
Yeah.
just want to shout out
No
Recap,
doubt.
man. He does a lot of work too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And shout out to the chat, man. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. I'm gonna do a refresh right now. See where we're at. What else? What else you got, Queen? Man, shout out to Queen. Shout out to Queen to figure out a way to, call on the phone and hang out with us, man. With no internet signal, somehow she made it happen.
Yeah.
I
I will
was
try
full
to.
staff for tonight, right?
I know.
I know you in Georgia, but I wonder where you at right now trying to get that signal.
Yeah, no, I'm in Central Georgia. I'm in a small town, and I got a hotspot that's supposed to give me 100 millibytes per second. But there's a problem with it because if I unplug my modem, the hotspot doesn't work, and that
Oh.
shouldn't be the case. The hotspot is separate from the modem, right? So I've been on. Listen, every time you call AT&T, it's a 2-hour call. Then they hang up. Then you get disconnected. This week was 11 hours and nothing's resolved. But I just got me an iPad, so I'm gonna see. Because the iPad will hook up to the hotspot. So I'm gonna look and see if I could deck that out. I think I can add a webcam to the iPad, and I'm gonna see if I could find a mic. This mic that doesn't hook up to it. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna
She's
figure it
sitting
out.
on
I'm
the
gonna be
roof
good
of
by
the
next
house
week.
right now with her phone,
Right.
tablet up in the sky. Y'all can't see it, but I hope a lightning storm doesn't come.
Right. It's not about extending the Wi-Fi. This town is not wired for high speed internet. So the most you're getting through your modem is 12 gigabytes per second. That's the issue. Is not the it's strong. It's just not enough millibytes per second. That's the issue. I'm not in Conyers. I'm closer to Macon, Georgia. I'll be going to Conyers too because that's where BJ's is. So I'll be up that way in a bit. But yeah, it's been like 2 weeks, so I had to figure it out. So I'm audio only. I'm on audio only today. I'll figure it out though.
Yeah. Well, anything else we want to add? I mean, there are other stuff to talk about, but we got other shows coming this summer. We're not gonna try to cover everything. Next week, by the time we meet next week, the draft, it'll be day 2 of the draft, and I'm sure some So free agency still start in July, right? But whatever trade's
Yeah.
going to be happening, in terms of draft night, so we'll already know about him, and that'll pretty much also give us a good, like we'll know which direction the team's going to go based on what they do on those 2 draft nights, right? I mean that'll give us a good indication on where they're going. And we're also gonna know, will we? I think Bogdanovic's extension is on the 29th, maybe, of June.
28th.
28th.
Unless they can mutually agree to move it back.
Okay. So we're not gonna know. I don't think they're gonna make that decision right away. But
unless they have a bigger deal where they need to, like if they agree to a trade where they need to guarantee his contract, they could, like on draft night, which is possible.
I think there's something going to go down on draft night. The Knicks teams can make trades on draft night if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Knicks if the Knicks are involved on draft night. I think free agency you could start negotiating June 30th if I'm not mistaken, and July 6th is when you can start signing free agents. I'm not sure if what the Knicks are going to do, where the Knicks are going to be as far as that taxpayers exception, if they're going to be in the market to use it. But I wanted to talk. Now we could talk about random stuff, or you had something else.
We could.
I wanted to talk about Siakam's contract. I know somebody in the chat said, "Well, if Siakam is getting 48, what does that say about OG? What does that say about Randall?" I think Indiana is in a unique situation where they really had to give him the max. Like if he signs elsewhere, who else are they going to give money to? Like who else are you going to trade for? What free agent is signing in Indiana? Do I think Siakam is a max player? Do I think him and Halliburton at this point? I mean, Halliburton is probably going to get better. Is a top tier tandem in the league. I personally don't, but I'm not sure what their options were. So I don't know if we can use that as a gauge for OG and Julius Randle.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Just because they overpaid Siakam doesn't mean that we should overpay.
Our front office is not overpaying. Like they haven't done that so far throughout their tenure. Like they haven't really overpaid anybody. If anything, they've been able to muster like real awesome deals. That you don't want to say underpaid because these guys get a lot of money, but they've been getting like really, really good contracts out. A lot of team friendly contracts. So.
But I think those days might be over, though.
Well, I mean,
those things, you're going to have to sign Randall. I mean, the thing with Randall is, and I forgot where I heard it. I was like, no, I don't think I want to pay Randall $40 million this summer. I think I want to don't extend him. Let's see him in the playoffs. Then sign him. The thing about it, though, is if you don't sign him to that $40 million this year, it's going to be even more next year that he's eligible for. And I think it comes down to, do you want to pay $40 million and still have questions about what he's going to do in the playoffs? Or do you want to wait till next season when those questions have been answered and possibly have to pay much more?
That's a good point.
Well, but if you have to pay much more, that means he had a massive playoffs, and that probably means that
he's worth
paying the extra, wouldn't it be? Like, in other words, if we're having to pay him much more, it's because, in other words, if Randall gets to the postseason and is terrible, he's not going to be commanding much more. The only way he's commanding much more is if he goes to the playoffs and he dominates. And if he goes to the playoffs and he dominates along with Jalen Brunson, that means the Knicks are likely to go really, really far. And if that's the case, don't we want to pay him more?
Yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. I wouldn't pay him the $40 million max. And if he balls out in the playoffs, whatever he commands as a free agent, I would pay it. But at that point, you're sure.
Yeah.
Geoff, I like how you say the Knicks get really, really far. How about the Knicks win the chip? We're two series away from the championship. All right, really, really far. There's no really, really far after that. You win the chip. That's it. I guess you don't want to jinx it.
You darn right I don't.
I know this about Julius right here, though. I love the way, like, during the time, like, when he came back from his injury and he was unable to play, he was sitting and watching. He had a chance to sit and watch and understand what he needed to do differently during, during the off season last year. And he came in this year. And once his foot got where he got comfortable all the way on his foot, Julius played downhill. I love that fact. That he changed his game over. So the same time while Julius is sitting, and he spoke upon, I seen little clips of it, he spoke upon how it was killing him, to not be able to be there for the team, not being able to help the team, not even sometimes he didn't want to even be there on the bench because it was hurting him so bad, but knowing that he could not go out there and play and perform because of his shoulder. But I know watching the team again, instead of watching footage and tape, actually watching the team and seeing and visualizing what you need to do even more and what you can do differently, again, coming off and changing your game the year before, Julius is on his way to another 21, 10, and 6 All-Star season next year. I'm telling you that.
I can feel it coming.
Because he knows right now that, man, it is hard. This might be the breakout what he needed to not be there and see where the team went without him. That might be the difference in this game. I don't know. It might not. Maybe I'm just, hoping it does. But he's going to come in there on a different level of basketball, and I think it's going to be more of winning basketball with Julius Randle, and that's going to elevate his game because it's really not this in the East. It's not really like no team out there really that's supposed to discombobulate his game now. Miami can't do what they did maybe 2 years ago to Julius because of the more people we have on the floor. You know what I'm saying? Right. So he should be able to take advantage of these type teams come this year. Philly, you can't do it. Miami, you can't do it. Indiana, he been killing Pascal Siakam. You know what I'm saying? So the only team that we have to move out of the way is Boston. That's the way I look at it. Everybody should be hungry and targeting Boston. But I just think Julius is going to come back off this shoulder injury. Knock on wood, God bless us. Provide us with a healthy squad moving in. Whatever team we got, provide us to be healthy. And let that be the outcome in the decision. Not because the players wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? Let our team be there. And let's go from there. I like our chances, but you got to be fully healthy and you got to be fully committed. I think you got to give Julius at least $40 million per year. You have to, and he's making his rounds now.
But just based on the regular season, Boogie, because we have yet to see the regular season translate to the playoffs. And I agree with you. The Atlanta series is because he didn't have the team around him, and these past 2 seasons he was injured. So we don't know. So it would be a bet, basically. You betting that he's going to be able to translate the regular season into the playoffs. So what you're saying is you would take that bet and extend him for that $40 million max this offseason.
Book.
After I get OG done, I probably would. If I'm not trading him and I'm not getting somebody that's better than him, I might have to.
Okay.
That's
fair.
I just really think that and then shoot, we getting more. You just seen Josh Hart on the TV in the NBA. They just brought Julius in there. They ain't doing that to nobody else. They ain't doing that to no other teams. They brought Embiid in there. So what? They brought Embiid in there with Paul. They brought two of our guys out there. Man, it's just something brewing around this team, but we just haven't reached that. We just haven't reached that position we need to be in yet. But I just feel like we're so close. And that's one thing I can say after when Boston won it, and I was listening to all them guys, speak, and I really, what really hit home with me was what White said. White said, we deserve this. We took all the proper steps to be here. And I'm saying to myself, up under the Leon Rose era, we're making the proper steps to become a champion, or become a finalist in the East. We're making the proper steps. We just need a little bit more luck and one more tweak move. And I believe we're going to be right there for years to come.
I agree with you. Nick Yak, it's not nonsense. If you haven't seen it, you haven't seen it. Whether it was because of injury, whether it was because he didn't have the team around him. Listen, Brunson didn't have a team around him this year. And the Eastern Conference was a little tougher than it was back when we played Atlanta. The only thing we're saying, I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm just saying the situation up to this point has been, for various reasons, we haven't seen it, right? If you ask me to put my money on it, I would say, yeah, I think it will translate. But it's not playoff nonsense. It's facts. We haven't seen it for various reasons. He was hurt. Again, Atlanta, he didn't have the team around him, but we haven't seen it translate. And with this new collective bargaining agreement, you cannot afford to be doling out money unless you're pretty sure of what you have in a particular player. That's all we're saying.
But Queen, I want to add though, by the same token, I agree with you, to a certain extent. And going back a few comments, JJ, shout out to JJ, who's always rocking with us. He said he don't care what Julius Randle does in the regular season. I do. Okay, I want that 25-10 in the regular season. I don't want to just,
You're gonna get that. You're gonna get that.
But I'm saying I don't want to. I don't care. I do care what he does in the regular season. That's part of building the team chemistry. That's part of making the team a winner. I don't want somebody who's lingering, waiting around for the playoffs to come in to try to prove himself. I want the guy to be there every step of the way. All right. So
yeah. I think he wants that too. I think what he's saying is he's not going to be impressed by it. Obviously we want him to play well. I think what he's saying is he's not going to be impressed by what he does in the regular season because we've seen that over and over again.
I beg to differ. I will be impressed by it. Okay. I want that all-star, all NBA regular season. I want that. Okay. As a stepping stone towards the playoffs.
Okay, no los dos, mi amigo. I want them both. Yeah. I said, "Por qué no los dos, mi amigo?"
Yes.
I want both. Yeah. I want that in the regular season, and then as a stepping stone to the playoffs, and then in the playoffs, because guess what? When Julius is cooking, Jalen Brunson gets those wide open catch and shoot threes that he makes at like a 50% clip, and his life is a lot easier, and the Knicks score better, and Brunson would be even better in the postseason.
No doubt about it. Let's
not forget OG Anunoby getting them and DiVincenzo getting them wide open threes. When you add Julius Randle to the mix.
Hey family, I'm gonna get ready to jump off. Get in here Say goodnight to my
Okay.
family. I want to also say
Peace out, brother.
goodnight to everybody here and everybody that's been rocking. Appreciate y'all to the fullest. Always, always, being up under this orange and blue umbrella. But before I go, I want to say one thing. That old regime, them old names is up out of here. And we do have one of the next tier superstars on this team. His name is Jalen Brunson. You got a few guys that's in front of him.
No
You
doubt.
got the Edwards, you got the Alexander, but he's on that tier right up under them, along with the new face over there in the West. He's getting ready to come over about another 2 years. That's going to be his over there in the West, the big guy over there in San Antonio. Knock on wood, I pray that he continue on staying healthy because I want to see everybody healthy. But over here in the East, we have that superstar over here on this team. And whatever it is that we need to do it before it's time to pay him. What Al Pacino said in Heat, don't waste my mother effing time. Don't waste my mother effing time. And that's what Brunson is saying. Don't waste my time. Do what you're gonna do right now, however you're gonna do it, and let's go. Because when my time comes, I'm gonna want my bread. Especially if you haven't put all the pieces around to make it, all the way to what we all want, which is a solid roster. But I love y'all. Talk to y'all probably the next 2 days. Captain, Aggie, Queen, my sis, and everybody in the chat. God blesses everybody. Oh, yeah. And of course, I got 5 of them things ready to go. I'm just waiting to hear something about the drafts and free agency and those things right there. Boogie been working. We got another anthem get ready to come out, man. They did the back in the day one, the headbanger. Yeah. We got the Knick banger. Yo. So yeah, I'm gonna holler at y'all people, man. I leaked out too much, man.
Peace out, book. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks, man.
All
You're
Yes,
the best, man.
Appreciate y'all always.
All right, man. Yeah, Queen. So I don't know what else we got.
What else we need? We just got breaking news. We got a banger on the way, man.
Banger on the way. 5 bangers on the way.
Can y'all
That's the
hear
news
me?
of the night, man, right
Oh
there.
no, what's going on with my phone? Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Can y'all hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can.
No?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. No, I was saying the show's probably going to be shorter in the off season, Ajay, because like you said, I gave you like 50 topics, but like you said, you wanted to leave a little on the bone, so it probably will be like 2-hour shows, a little over 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, we already went over that 2 hour. We're trying to keep it 2 hour, but
Yeah, we already went over.
We already went over.
Y'all forget that Jerrell wasn't even here tonight.
I
Jerrell
know.
is here. That adds another 30, 45 minutes.
Easily. Yeah.
Shout out to Jerrell, by the way, and Stafford.
And Stafford. Yeah, hopefully.
Shout out to Jerrell, by the way. Yeah.
Stafford. And shout out to the chat, man.
And Stafford.
Queen, the chat is rocking, man. They going back and forth at it, man. And we got right now. I'm seeing 125 likes. I don't know. Let me do a little refresh this thing. Oh yeah, 127. So we're, the chat's showing appreciation, and we appreciate that, guys. And Queen, I don't know if you got anything.
Definitely.
Anything else? Do we?
I don't. I was trying to put out a video on the salary cap and how that related to iHeart, OG, and Randall, but I got that little buffering circle, so I had to stop that. So I don't really have anything until next Thursday. If anything breaks with iHeart or OG, maybe we might want to hop on like we did with the I don't know if you guys remember the DiVincenzo signing when we hopped on and did a 45 or 60-minute show. And we got a lot in that limited amount of time. So, maybe if something breaks, we can do that.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But I
Yeah,
doubt
maybe
anything would break
200.
until probably because nothing really is gonna happen until after the draft. I don't think. I mean, we're gonna do a show
Well,
next year.
Siakam signed. There was the Caruso trade. Somebody else signed today, too. So things are happening.
I don't know. Our front office.
Well,
don't move.
look, man, if we can get that OG is back, I heart back tweets, we can have an emergency live stream celebration. And let's go.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Let's go. I'm ready
It was
for
Malik
that.
Monk. Yeah, shout out to D Block 1755. Malik Monk signed a 4-year, $78 million contract with the Kings. So that was what I was referring to. Appreciate you, D Block.
Man, he got the Isaiah Hartenstein contract.
Yeah.
A little bit more, but
Yeah.
about 17 million a season.
You okay, there you go.
Yeah, that's a good signing for him, for Malik Monk. Yeah. About almost 20 million a year. Yeah. All right, so hey, we're gonna be back on next Thursday, 9 p.m. And I mean, the part 2 of the draft will be going on, and day 1 will be in the books already. So we'll have plenty to talk about because we'll like
And the Knicks may have already picked by the time we come on.
They will have already picked. Because they have the 2 first rounders and a second rounder.
Right, but the second rounder is like 38 or something like that. So we may have that pick in the books by the time we're on air.
Or to happen while we're on live. So we can talk about that also.
I think the draft is 2 days this year.
Yeah, it is.
Correct.
It is. It's Wednesday and Thursday. I mean, I'm assuming first round is Wednesday and then second round.
Correct.
Is Thursday.
Yes.
Right. I see what you're saying. Yes. So okay. Yeah. By the time we come on, they would have picked. Gotcha.
Maybe they're right around. They stretch those picks out so long. Who knows? It may be. We may be through an hour by the time. Who knows? But yeah. So it should be a great draft day special show next week. So that'll be awesome.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, shout out to the chat, Geoff. Thank you, Queen. Thank you. And and Knicks
appreciate you, Ajay.
Nation.
No doubt.
And thanks to Jay Boogie. Shout out to Jerrell, staff at Dawn. Who couldn't be here tonight, and shout out to the NBK family of content providers. All right.
Amen.
Let me just say this. Can you guys hear me? Shout out to Ajay. Shout out to Ajay. First time hosting the show, I asked him, I said, listen, I'm going to be on audio, but I don't think I should be hosting audio only. What do you think about hosting? And he didn't him or her. He just said, yeah, I'll definitely do it. And you did a great job, Ajay. You were on point tonight.
Thank you.
For
sure. I got to go back on the replay to see where I messed up.
I don't think you did. I mean, I don't think you did
either.
Well,
he just wants to see his face on that first part when he's on the screen by himself.
when I got the spotlight, right? Yeah, man. Shout out
for sure.
Always appreciate love hanging out with you guys. Talk about the Knicks. And
yeah. You have to hit the you on your end. You're gonna have to hit the extra and in the stream, because when I do it, it buffers too long.
Queen, I don't even know where that is.
If you go into brand, all you got to do.
Okay.
You see, it says Dope Soul Main. You hit that. And then when it gets near the end, you just hit the big red in stream button. Sorry, guys. We got to do some technical teaching now at the end of the show. Make sure it ends right.
Otherwise,
you see
the
it?
stream's just going to go on forever. And
yeah, otherwise the stream is going to continue to go on.
Just click on that Dope Soul Main, I guess.
Yes, that's the one.
You tune in, that means you're feeling the vibe. Feel that?
Oh, wait.
You good. That's good.
But we didn't say goodbye. I just hung up on everybody.
He's
right,
hoping to get another solo.
All right. So shout out to the chat and thank you guys for hanging out, man. See you guys next week, Thursday.
Peace.
All right. Peace out.
You tune in, that means you're feeling the vibe. The bell rung, you already been subscribed. Right now, the queen, she on live. Right now. Please pull over the whip, no phoning when you drive. Dope Soul sporting with the talk. First lady from New York, Brooklyn. All my people, you rocking with the chat. Hit that. The like button would tell me where you at. You know, step from the MBK. Born and raised up MBK. Hey, real lady, where she holding it down. No matter way how you feel, she gon' greet you with a smile.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Sister.